Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is HD, and it's time for Game 2 between Lucira and MMA. It's still Monday afternoon. I don't know why I'm mentioning the day, but I guess from now on I'll mention the day just to give you guys a little... If you guys aren't checking your calendar, it is Monday right now. So, Lucira versus MMA is going to be a Zerg versus Terran here, and it will be on Shakuris Plateau. Love these guys. I love these players. They are so good. And I can't help but wonder, what the heck was MMA thinking in that last game? Was he just... Did his mind just blank out? Did he have a BSOD in his brain when his command center basically wasn't walled off completely, which basically meant that he lost the game because those Zerglings were able to run inside? I don't know. Maybe someone needs to send a Windows technician over to South Korea and tinker a little bit with MMA, because that is not a problem that should be occurring 100% of the time. So... I don't know. I feel like this is going to be his chance for redemption. Obviously, he's a much better player than we saw in the last game. And we'll see what happens this time around. This is going to be on Shakuris Plateau. It's a pretty wide open map. MMA here is going to be walling off his front door immediately. It's pretty standard play, really. Just getting the barracks and supply depot down. And we'll see if Lucira will opt to go for the hatchery first, or if he's going to opt to get the gas early. Typically, I would say on a map like this, hatching first is really the best strategy. And in fact, yeah, Lucira is going to be pulling that drone right on 15 supply. And the reason why I say that is because this map, it just lends itself so greatly to an eco-style Zerg play. Really, you don't need early speedlings for any reason whatsoever, especially not that much against Terrans nowadays, which most Terrans are opting to open up games with Hellions, and by the time Hellions come, you know, you can get a later speed than usual. So I like what Lucira is doing here. He's going to be going for an earlier hatchery, and he's just going to be thinking, you know, I won the first game. I did it very well with speedlings. I might try it again in the mid game. Hopefully, MMA though, for MMA fans, hopefully he doesn't blunder and you know, have a BSOD in his brain. But we'll see what happens. His Marine now has popped out of the barracks. We'll get a couple of pot shots off on that drone and continuing to give chase. Lucira, very nice micro here, will keep it alive, but ends up losing it, and immediately a factory getting dropped down by MMA. Now, because this map, because they have spawned on the bottom sides right next to each other, it is possible MMA could go for a quick starport. Banshee play would be viable on this map, but I would tend to lean more towards a kind of Hellion opening for MMA. I think Hellions would definitely be the best strategy to kickstart this game. Immediate factory right into a command center is the build of choice now for Terran players in the current metagame of Starcraft 2. Especially for a player like MMA who just loves his Hellions and also loves his drops, in fact. If you guys haven't seen MMA play StarCraft 2 and you guys don't know what dropping is, then look him up. In fact, I hope we see some awesome dropping by MMA. He is just the king of drops. Remember there's this kid named Marine King Prime, guys? Back in the days, he was Foxer, then he renamed himself to Marine King Prime. MMA should name himself, instead of just being MMA, which I think is a cool name, mixed martial arts, he should just name himself the Marine Drop Prime, or Marine Dropper King. I don't know. He is just such a great dropship abuser, and there's really no other word for it. He's insanely good. We'll see if we get to a little bit of a treat with his Marine drops. We'll keep an eye out for it. Lucira right now is just playing the macro game, though. He has got about 23 drones, so he's right on par with the Terran player. The Terran player MMA has thrown down a command center inside his main, but he is not going to be lifting that off and landing it down until his Blue Flame upgrade finishes. Typically what Terran players will do here is they'll wait for Blue Flame, they'll be aggressive with the Blue Flame Hellions, all the while muling and building SCVs with the command center inside the main. And once they've inflicted some kind of damage or kept the Zerg player on his toes, that's when they're going to land that command center down, because it's really quite risky to lift it off at this moment in the game. And I don't think we're going to be seeing him do that until he's got his Blue Flame upgrade finished. Now, Lucira has Baneling Nest. I actually like this. An early Baneling's Nest is going to prove very viable against those Blue Flame Hellions. Remember, guys, the Baneling Sack, it does increase damage to light, and a Hellion is considered a light unit, so MMA here will have to be careful. The Baneling's Nest is just moments away from finishing. Blue Flame now has finished, and as predicted, MMA is going to be lifting off that command center, immediately going to land that at the natural. Couple of Zerglings here scouting the Hellions that were on the way. So right now, Losira is completely alert to the incoming attack of triple Hellions, and we'll see how he holds this off. He definitely does not want to allow these Hellions to get inside the main. Loses a couple of Zerglings at the front door. Not a good start here. He wants to keep every Zergling alive so he can crunch that Hellion force, and Losira brilliantly bringing Zerglings from the back flank here. He actually had some Zerglings just chilling up here for a couple of moments, able to surround those Hellions and keeps the Hellions outside of the main. Brilliant play by Losira. This guy is running on all 12 cylinders. Maybe he's actually a V16 car. I don't know what cars have 16, pistons, but maybe that's Losira. He is just running on all 1,000 horsepower. He is just doing great right now, and he is actually preparing to do a Banelings bust here. Oh, MMA here could just lose to another big Zergling attack here if he's not careful. Remember, those supply depots are so weak to Banelings, and if this supply depot goes down, these Marines could even go down as a result of the splash damage. Here comes Losira! He's running in. He actually did not target the supply depot. I think that was a mistake, but he gets his Zerglings inside regardless. The tanks do not have siege mode, still 10 seconds away from finishing, and one tank may go down, but I think MMA should be able to hold this off. He needs to immediately rebuild those supply depots there to block off his front door. Oh my god, Losira getting this attack in right before the siege tank upgrade finished, but I can't help but wonder, did he blunder there? Did he make a big blunder by not targeting one supply depot and instead targeting the barracks? I feel like if he had hit the supply depot, he could have definitely run in there and wiped out the rest of those Marines. Could have been a different game, but as the results stand, Losira and MMA just kind of did a little quick trade there, and we're not going to be seeing any more Baneling action because now MMA's got siege tanks on the high ground, and that pretty much nullifies any kind of a Baneling nest bust shenanigans, and I don't think we're going to see any more of that. So at this point, I think both players are pretty even. Zerg is up by a little bit in economy, I would say. But a Terran player on 2 base can definitely, they can definitely come back from any small deficit like that very quickly with effective Hellion drops, with effective Marine drops. In fact, MMA is starting to produce his Telltale dropships, and I cannot wait to see his dropship in play and in action. Like I said, guys, he is known for his dropship play. He is so damn good with it. He's got 8 Marines loaded in this dropship, and we'll just have to wait and see what he decides to do with that. Now, remember, Terran players typically like to drop, in the mineral lines and hit certain locations. Typically it's the drone line. But what MMA does differently is he will do 2-prong drops, but he won't actually target drones all the time. Sometimes he'll target the Baneling's Nest or the spawning pool. And you might wonder, well, why would he do that? The thing about targeting Baneling's Nest and spawning pools is if you cripple your opponent's ability to produce speedlings or banelings, that means that you've got a window of opportunity before those production facilities go back up for you to attack the Zerg, and you will not have to fear any new banelings or speedlings whatsoever, and that is a huge boost in confidence for any Terran player. So that's MMA's trademark in TVZ. He's so good with it. In fact, he is moving out with 2 dropships at once. Wisely though, Losira has these overlords. Look at the minimap, guys. He's got overlords just placed everywhere. So smart. He sees all drops coming from every direction. MMA here will have to back off with the northern drop, but the southern drop may be successful. It looks like Losira may not be paying attention here. MMA gonna drop on the low ground though. Doesn't want to risk dropping into that pack of Zerglings, which I have to agree with. You don't want to just drop 8 Marines into the creep where Zerglings are waiting. That could be very disastrous. And MMA wisely just taking out the units on the low ground, being safe and cautious. He is gonna clear out the landing zones before he commits any Marines. And that's just sound tactical Terran strategy. You don't want to risk your Marines because every one of these Marines, every one of these drops are they can be so hit or miss. And obviously MMA wants to hit that ball out of the park. So we'll see what happens. MMA now actually moving out with quite a bit of Marines and tanks in the middle of the field. This looks to be a pretty strong push here. Lucira, though, has a lot of banelings being morphed at the natural. Remember, guys, Lucira is on 3 base, and MMA is still on 2, so this push is actually quite small. MMA is actually moving out with a small party of Marines here. This is typical of Terran play. You move out with a small party, drop the comsat, and recede the creep. Very smart right here. And, of course, MMA doesn't have to worry about any infestors at this moment because it doesn't look like Lucira has opted to go for infestors at all. So I think that Lucira doesn't have to worry about that push at the center, but what he really wants to be worried about and what he wants to keep his attention on are these drops that are moving around the side of the map. And I like this by MMA as well. He's moving a Viking around the perimeter of the map, and you guys might be wondering, what the hell is this for? The Viking, its sole purpose here is to pick off the overlords. He wants to clear the LZ and any potential lumbering overlords that may scout future dropships. And that's what he's doing with this Viking. He's picking off overlords in the corners and the perimeters of the map. Very smart play right there by MMA. And now you guys notice the southern route is completely bare and open to any dropships that MMA may choose to use. The Viking here, oh man, almost going down, but escapes with about 8 HP, is going to immediately proceed to the north, and it's going to find a wealth of overlords to pop off. Great by MMA here. This Viking currently has 3 overlord kills, and it's about to get up to like maybe 10 plus. I honestly don't see Lucira getting anything to deal with that Viking anytime soon, although his Spire is about to finish. But hold that thought, we have a pretty big push by Lucira here. Banelings coming in along with Zerglings and Roaches, and MMA wisely lifting up the Sea Shakes onto the high ground above, and that is going to pretty much negate this push. Lucira cannot attack when there are tanks up on that high ground, and in fact, I don't even know if Lucira has enough forces to make anything happen. Gonna try to roll right into this Marine clump, but there are too many tanks here wiping out the majority of those Banelings. Lucira going straight into the natural! Oh my god, a lot of SCVs going down there, and that was a pretty hefty blow. More SCVs going down. Nice play by Lucira, but I can't help but wonder, was it worth it by trading his entire army? He has 2 more Banelings burrowed underneath, and at the same time, MMA making a drop, his telltale signature move here, going for the production facilities, picking off the Banelings nest, and he is going to actually unload and get right out of there, and right now he has got a beautiful time to attack. No Banelings can be produced by the Zerg player Lucira. Lucira actually doesn't even have any Banelings. He only has 5 Banelings right now, so he's very vulnerable to Marines. And he's actually 2 of those Banelings are burrowed underneath that orbital command as well. Here comes Lucira without any Banelings whatsoever. He cannot attack this army. There are too many Marines here. He's burrowed a couple Banelings here. He's actually hoping to spring the trap, but a comsat goes down. MMA so smart here. Moves forward with a very large Terran army, and he's got a good potential here to do some serious damage. Another drop being dropped off behind the drone line. Lucira in a world of hurt right now, and MMA is poised to take this game. Doesn't even need the natural expansion, and he is gonna force the GG out of Lucira. What a game, and all thanks to a well-executed snipe of the Banelings nest, and there's no other way to describe it. That was the sole reason why MMA won. I mean, he was, on top of that, also, you know, taking a free trade. He traded, like, you know, all of his SCVs at his natural for the entire army of Lucira. I don't think that was the best of trades for Lucira, honestly. And with the snipe of the Banelings nest really kind of sealed the deal for MMA. But a brilliant game nonetheless of Starcraft 2, and MMA is your winner in Game 2. That means it is currently tied 1-1. And we are going to go on to a game number 3. All right, guys, stay tuned. We're going to be coming back at you guys with Game 3.